How many of you have a television set? Come on, come on, come on. I know all of you watch National Geographic. I just take that for granted. But how many of you have a television set? How many of you have 2 television sets? 3 television sets? Sensor-picking television sets that actually move every time you move your ass somewhere.
They have those?
You know, the greatest form of control is thinking you're free while, you're being dictated and given orders to. There are 2 kinds of prisons. There's the prison where you actually in prison, you touch the metal bars and it feels cold and nasty. And there's also another kind of prison, a far more dangerous kind of a prison cell, where you're inside, but you can't see the bars. You think you're free, and you actually are not. And you're being given orders to, and you're being told what to think, and what to do. You know, the biggest hypnotist in the world is that oblong tube everybody has in the living room. And as a matter of fact, most people, they put together their living room based on where they're going to put their television sets. What the powers behind the curtain have done is they've convinced us that what's there on that television screen, on the cover of a newspaper, is the reality. And what they've done is they've made my job a lot more difficult, because most people will laugh in your face when you tell them there is another reality out there, a reality that has very little to do with the reality you see in the 2-dimensionality of your television sets. And most people want to know, well, if this is true, well, why is, CNN doesn't talk about this? Well, what do you tell them? Again, this is a question to you. What do you tell them? I know what to tell them. All right? But if you want to convert people to our side, and God, we need people on our side, okay? Healthy, able bodies with clear minds who understand how this war is fought and who can do some damage, okay, on our behalf. You have to understand how to answer these questions. So if you're going to indoctrinate people to our cause, make sure you don't talk about, the one world order, the bad evil eye, the bad people. No, it's not like that. It's not like that at all. You get into that, people just say, this guy's nuts. It's just some, freaky, some crazy. Can't get into that, because you lose them once and you lose them forever. Because our competition are the CNNs, the ABCs, the NBCs. Discovery Channel doesn't talk to me. CNN doesn't want to talk to me either. ABC is not there saying, 2 million books. Well, how? No, they don't want to talk to me, no. Because no matter what they do, they know I can blow holes in any theory of theirs. I can destroy them, and I've been doing for the past 15 years, humiliating these people. The majority's perception of reality is not their own, as you guys well know. This is shrewdly manipulated and dictated and given orders to by the men behind the curtain. One of the things I want you guys to start doing is start thinking. That's one of the most important things you can take away from this lecture. It's not the data, it's not the information, it's not the cute stories. It's the fact that you gotta start thinking. Let me give you an example about what I mean by people not thinking and reacting emotionally. Do you remember back in 2005, the infamous Mohammed cartoons? What happened? I'm sorry? Yeah, okay, that's great. Anything else? What happened? What's the story? Outrage of the Muslim. I don't have a television set. I've never had a television set, never in my life. I don't read newspapers. I read, the weather section. And I don't listen to the radio. I live, and I have a, big farm in the middle of nowhere in southern Spain. And I don't pay attention to any of this shit. Okay? But I know exactly what I need to know. So the point about the Mohammed cartoons, I was in a bar and I was seeing all this stuff, all these crazies out there protesting. And then I heard all these people talking about it, calling them, Al-Qaeda supporters, bin Ladistas, Muslim crazies, terrorists. And the only thing that I wanted to know, really, the only thing I wanted to know as I was sitting there in a bar, having my Diet Coke, is where the fuck did 400,000 Muslims across a large swath of the Middle East get 400,000 Danish flags from? Do you understand what I just said? Yeah. I'll repeat. Wow. Like, do you guys have a Danish flag at home?
No.
Do you have an American flag at home? No. So, yeah, you don't have an American flag at home. You don't. Oh, you do. Okay. Well, it's like one, or maybe you have like 50. I don't know. Maybe it's like, you get a Quran, you get a Danish flag. It was just a coincidence. It might be. I don't know. It might be. It might be. But the point is, you get a group of people, imagine you have, a birthday party, and you call 100 friends, 25 show up, and they don't show up at the same time. Some show up late, some show up early, some are sick, some get in a car accident, and in the end you get 10 people in the room at the same time. Well, they were able to get 400,000 Arabs who don't have watches, who are dressed in bed sheets, with beach sandals. A large area of the Middle East, it's really big. It's like a little bit bigger than Portland, all right? Across the entire Middle East. Look at the map, just to give you an idea how big that area is. Well, all of these people came out at the same time with a Danish flag on their head. Where the fuck did these people get a Danish flag from, man? And that's the only question I want answered. And I don't care about anything else, but that's only the first part of it. Because we can get a Danish flag here, I can start waving this thing. We can even burn it, or step on it, or spit at it. But then somebody has to come. Like, these people with cameras, they got to be here, to videotape this. So some big fat dude at home in New York eating his potatoes, fries, saying, these people are nuts. Yeah, let's nuke them. That's what it's about. Okay? It's called manipulating your emotions and manipulating your feelings. That's what I mean. That's what I mean when I say you better start thinking. Okay? It's the creative powers of logic which separate us, from the sheep and the animals. Which is an example. By the way, the people who bought my book in Denmark, called JP, they're the same people who published the cartoons. They bought the book, the biggest advance in Danish history, not to publish my book. It never came out. All right? Never. All right? Just to give an idea what we're up against. Let's talk about drug trade. Another example of manipulation of feelings. When the Taliban came into Afghanistan in the late 1990s, the first thing they did was what?